Crit status active. Orbital status standby.
What is up, Guardians? This is Cosmodrome Radio, broadcasting all the on all frequencies from here all the way to the derelict. Because fuck you, Drifter. Because after all the shit that I went through, but of all the shit that I dealt with this past, yeah, Jermaine, fuck you, Jermaine. Because after all the shit I dealt with this week, trying to get to max light, only for the last pinnacle that I had to do, because all I needed was a mark. All I needed was a damn mark from a class item for my Titan to be 1580. And this motherfucker, not only did I do 3 matches of Gambit in a row, but the first match didn't count for some reason. So I did a 4th match of Gambit, and I hate Gambit. And I got asked recently by a fan who joined the clan. They asked, "Why do you hate Gambit so much?" We're gonna get to that one day, but not now.
Next week.
But Jermaine's bitch ass literally had made me do 4 matches of Gambit instead of 3 matches of Gambit. And then finally I get my mark. And I even told yesterday, I'm like, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do Gambit.
And I'm just sitting here like, bro, it's just 3 matches of Gambit. I know you hate it, but it's an easy slog.
And it was so dumb too. And like the fact that it was the last pinnacle I needed and it gave me what I wanted, I was just like,
you did do a master catch
crash? No, I didn't do a master catch crash. Well, I because like it was either master catch crash, master
Wait, you got it, but you're mad. You're still mad at Jermaine.
I'm mad at Jermaine for making me play Gambit because fuck Gambit. But that's how I feel. But we're gonna have an episode where I talk about why I hate Gambit and what it's become. I used to love Gambit. I thought Gambit was a great idea.
Shout out to Gambit Prime.
Yeah, shout out to Gambit Prime.
Was awesome.
I am at a point where I think Bungie just threw Gambit in the trash and doesn't care about it anymore. That's why I hate it. So we'll get to that one day. But my name is Panda the Paladin. To my left, we have the man who, I don't know, Toll, you just been like not feeling yourself the past like week or so in the game. Like you just been kind of like sleepwalking through stuff. You even kind of like fell asleep during King's Fall on Tuesday, and I was worried about you. So like, how you doing?
I'm kind of trying to avoid burnout right now, man. I'm at that weird seasonal point where it's like, I'm gonna go do my weekly raids and do some stuff with the clan. But other than that, I'm kind of like putting the brakes on for Destiny. I'm playing more Cyberpunk. Yes, I did watch Cyberpunk Edge Runners. Yes, I will recommend that.
God,
yes,
I've heard it was good. I
stand Rebecca.
He's riding the hype train. But no, it was just funny because like you usually love to run for Guardian because we did a Guardian yesterday, and this man said, "No, I'm gonna go be in a plate." I'm like, this doesn't seem like Toll. Like Toll always loves to run for a second encounter.
Well, yeah, I do. I love running, but I wanted to give other people a chance to learn how to run.
Okay, fair enough.
I want to give other people a chance to do the mechanics, and I know I've actually been learning and loving I's team for Garden,
which I very much appreciate. Someone actually enjoying I's team with me because like no one seems to like doing I's team, but it's the easiest thing to do in the fucking game. But anyway, to my right we have a fellow patron of the joy that is slug shotguns because no one appreciates a good slug shotgun like myself.
They're the best out there.
But Falcon, how you doing this evening?
I'm doing really good. No, slug shotguns are the best shotgun. That's the way to go. Anybody who uses pellet shotguns in PvP is missing out.
I mean, like
there are good pellet shotguns in PvP, but
there's some solid ones. But like slugs that I have, like there's a couple clips I posted on TikTok recently, like where there was just one gnarly one where there was this hunter that jumped over my head, and I just like followed him with the thing and just popped him in the head. And it was like sometimes when you hit that slug, it just feels like smooth butter. Yeah. It's so nice.
It's nice. There's nothing like a slug spree.
It's so nice. It's so nice. But don't forget, folks, that you can listen to this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, and Audible. YouTube now, you can do that.
Like, we got YouTube.
We're on YouTube now. If you like watching on YouTube, you can subscribe to Cosmodrome Radio Podcast. And if you want to like ask a question to the show, we will like you can
comment on the YouTube.
Yeah, like comment on the YouTube, tweet at us at Cosmodrome Radio. Follow us on Twitter because we want to grow. Comment on the TikToks we make, but follow us on Twitter for more updates. We post the twab for like those who don't want to or who don't know how to access the twab because we found out recently that not a lot of people follow Bungie Help or the Bungie main Twitter. So if you or the people don't follow the community managers, if you follow us, we retweet the twab every Thursday. So make sure that you hit us up. So yeah,
we had a whole plan today.
Today was supposed to be a PvP episode, and then like all the shit that happened.
Bungie decided, hey, after all the non-communication we've had for a few weeks, here you go.
Well, it wasn't even that. It was the fact that we were going to talk about, like, first it was going to be a PvP episode. Then it became a thing of, the community is mad about Eager Edge. Then it became, Bungie's not really communicating with the community correctly as we started to find more and more out. And it was just like, because what people started to notice, like, different members of the community started to notice that each TWAB recently was very, very light. And also there was different updates that were going live in different situations that Bungie wasn't really communicating about. There was different errors and glitches going on in the game that Bungie just was not communicating with and did not care.
To specifically name a few, the new Hunter chess piece, they didn't put it in the TWAB at all. They finally put it in this TWAB, which is really strange.
They put it in last week's too, that it would be coming back mid-October, didn't they?
Yeah, they had tweeted that out. They had tweeted
out.
Oh,
that's right. It was,
they were going to put it out in October because the issue, they didn't even tell you why it was disabled. They said it was disabled. But the main reason why people kind of figured out why it was disabled, because the whole idea behind it is when you exit being invisible, you have increased weapon damage. And people were like one-shot body shotting with certain weapons, i.e. Arbalist, and people were like, ooh, this is not good. So Bungie had to turn that motherfucker off.
And it's just the other one that... Is there another exotic? No, I don't think there was another.
No, it wasn't another exotic. Well, there was the issue of a point cannon brace earlier this season.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Bungie didn't tell us anything. The community had to figure out what was going on because Bungie accidentally reactivated it, and there was people like us and a couple others who were able to test it.
Panda and I that day, we were like, "Oh, let's go test it." I want to preface this with saying I was wearing Lorelei pre-nerf, and I was still getting one shot.
I barely charged the Thunderclap melee, and it one-shot him pre-Lorelei nerf. And it was like, oh, that's terrifying. But also, the issue with them doing that was not only did they not communicate the issue of what was going on with the new exotic, they flat out nerfed the new exotic into the ground that there's no point in wearing it. Like, literally, there is no point to wear this brand new exotic, and it's just sitting in every Titan's vault right now. That's all it's doing. And it's kind of sad, to be honest, because you expected this thing to actually be really cool and combine well with the new melee. And I'm like, at the very least, let it speed up the charge rate or something. Like, make it give it something new and unique to do with the game. But that's another reason why people were sort of wondering what was going on. Plus, there was like barely anything in the TWABs multiple times. There was just less and less communication from the devs. And to be frank, some people were speculating it was because of the Bungie Sony acquisition / partnership, whatever the hell you want to call it. But the main reason that a lot of people started to think it was mostly because of the fact that like Bungie's probably getting sick of how the community's been acting. And
yeah, you guys are acting like absolute heathens.
Yeah,
that group of the community.
Yes.
You know who you are. We will find you.
I mean, we ain't gonna find them, but we can talk shit about them if we want to. But like,
we'll slap you on the wrist.
It's just like the fact that people are out here sending death threats and like being horrible. Like, there's people about this Eager Edge nerf that we'll get into in a second that were literally attacking DMG and like treating him like he was a piece of crap and whatnot. And it's like, bro, that's not how you approach something.
Yeah.
I'm sad that with the Lorelei nerf, I didn't go and do that.
Nah, we were sad.
I was upset
about it.
and you can go back and listen how upset I was that my favorite exotic got nerfed. But I'm not gonna go cry about it. I'm gonna cry about it, but I'm not gonna go send death threats and be a rude person about it when I don't need to. They're trying to balance the game to what they want.
Right.
You mean be a decent, normal human?
But yes.
Apparently, people don't know how to do that.
Right?
Your mama didn't raise you right, or your daddy.
Well, and like what killed. So let's talk about the Eager Edge thing real quick, because the Eager Edge thing that happened was Bungie in Tuesday's patch quietly nerfed enhanced Eager Edge and Eager Edge period, to where not only does it not like allow you to Eager Edge on multiple swings in one activation, it also limits the time to activate it, and it also can make it so if you're already moving at a high velocity or dropping at a high velocity, you can't activate Eager's Edge. Which the reason behind this, from what DMG tweeted, was because people were using it to break out of the map, to break the game, etc., etc.
No, I'm not one for breaking the game. Yes, I have a few glitches that I use, but they're very minor glitches.
Well, and here's the kicker about
I don't
it.
break out of the map. That's just wrong.
Well, like, and here's the kicker about it. The reason why people weren't really believing what DMG was saying was because people were posting videos of them literally doing every possible oob / out of bounds in the game currently without Eager's Edge. People were breaking out of the map without the sword and showing that if you're going to say that oobing out of the map is a problem, which it is, like, regardless of what the low man community or the speedrunning community wants to say, oobing is a problem. And they're saying if Bungie wants to correct oobing, they need to collect the data and fix those oobs. They have done it in the past in several instances, like Last Wish, but granted, there's still some at Last Wish. They did it in Presage, but like they have.
I will straight up say the Leviathan still has all of its old oob glitches. They never fixed any of that. Which is, I'm just sitting here like, what are we doing?
And it's like
I literally spent like a hour wandering around outside the Leviathan because I randomly oobed out, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna wander around. I wasn't looking to do it. I just did it on accident. I'm gonna get back in.
Combine that with the issue of people saying that, oh, if you're gonna nerf Eager's Edge, why aren't you looking at the main issue of shatter skating, which is combining the Eager's Edge with the shatter dive mechanic of Stasis Hunter, or well skating, which is combining the well function of the Warlock, or even bubble skating, which I didn't know that was a fucking thing till this week.
It's a thing. I've seen people attempt it.
It's really hard to do.
And you cannot do it.
Well skating and shadow skating are easy, but bubble skating is a nightmare.
I will say this.
Say for yourself.
I will say this about bubble skating. If you can pull it off on a controller, props to you. Because that shit is so hard to do.
Yeah,
I can't do it at all. I can't even regular shatter skate or well skate.
Bubble skating.
Yeah.
I would say skating in certain instances is kind of fun.
Well, and the thing about it is, and I think the biggest issue that I have with the community reaction of this is they're treating this what happened with Worldline Zero. They're treating it like what happened with like every little like fun quote unquote thing that they deem fun with the game. And they're attacking the devs and going after them. Like, granted, some people are actually presenting the case in a very correct way. Right. But then there's some people that are just going after them saying, you're ruining our fun, you're not allowing us to do anything. And it's like, bro, in the same instances as oobing, in the same instances as eager edging, well skating, like shadow skating, whatever, because there's videos of people flying for miles through maps. Like, I watched one video where dude went from one end of Nessus to the other off of well skating. And it's like, bro, if you have to invent fun for yourself, that's this, and like this is the fun that you're doing, why are you playing the game? Like, legitimately, if this is the fun you have to invent. It's sort of the same thing with low mans, but like
Titanfall. Titanfall is literally that. It's just going as fast as you can around the map. They fixed the game. It's playable again. Player base is back. Go play it.
Well, it's just it feels as if that's the comment. Like, I remember when I kind of like I had a bad reaction to someone trying to show people how low man Deepstone Crypt, and I like went the fuck off. And people were in my comments saying, "Oh, you don't know how to fun. Oh, you're a loser. Oh, cope, whatever." And it's like, bro, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying, like, if you really can't have fun in this game, if you've done every single amount of content in this game, why are you here? Bungie has even said they don't mind you going to do something else if you've done every piece of content there is to do. So that's what kind of gets under my skin. And I'll even give DMG props for this. That he even admitted in the TWAB that like communication has had some issues. They should have communicated better about what's going on and not just dropped it on you. He even said that like, hey, if the Eager's Edge would have been like the Eager Edge nerf would have been with a bunch of other nerfs and buffs and stuff like that, it wouldn't have hit as hard. But I will give Sweatsicle, the YouTuber, a little bit of credit because
I've been following his videos. Sorry.
Yeah, you're fine. He made a good point. I'll play devil's advocate in regards to this because of what he said. He said Bungie has let Eager's Edge exist in its base form for 9 months, ever since the 30th anniversary first came out.
Right.
And had no issue with it. It had no like didn't care about the mechanic doing what it did. So why is it an issue now? And saying like it's almost like they gave you a puppy, and then after a few months they needed to sell that puppy. And it's like, I hear you.
I could play a counter argument against that and say that Destiny's pretty but Bungie as a company is pretty transparent as a AAA company. Like they tell us a lot more than other AAA games. I'll give them that.
Right.
But just because it's happening now doesn't mean it isn't something they could have not been potentially already working on for many months. Maybe the Eager Edge nerf took a long time to get through, and right now it just seems to be pushed out right now. And just because it was a part of the community, kind of like how the div thing, how people are saying, oh, they're pumped it out after we just talked about it, like discourse of the community. Like,
get to that too.
No, like it's probably been discussed for months already, and it just there's never a good time to push out nerfs. Like that's just the reality of it.
Well, like, and my other thing too is, who's to say that Bungie ever meant Eager's Edge to do what people have like done?
There's no way.
Same thing with Worldline Zero back when Worldline Skating was a thing. Bungie didn't mean for you to do this. If you ever are near an enemy in Eager Edge and you Eager Edge, like it drags you towards the enemy, that's what the intention of the sword was supposed to do. To allow you to attack enemies at a fast pace, not fly across the map. So Bungie
Eager Edge, from my understanding of what I read, it was more, it gave you a longer time to activate it, not give you more swings.
Yeah.
It's there to be like, hey, you can hold this for 7 seconds and then go. Instead of you get to hold it for 3.
Right. And it's like my big thing is, after like sitting down and thinking about it, it's like, yo, I really don't think Bungie ever meant for this sword to do that. Because just the way, and like just because you interpreted it the way it did and the community has embraced it in this way, doesn't mean Bungie nerfing it is like taking away your quote unquote fun. It's Bungie not admitting they fucked up, going in and handling the issue, and then coming back later and going, hey, we may have messed up. This is the step 1. And granted, they could have like clarified that and said, hey, this is step 1. We're going to be addressing Shatter Skate and Well Skate and Bubble Skate too. But this is step 1 of that process.
Lord of Wolves.
Yeah, like how they hit a Lord of Wolves. It makes me sad, but the way they're approaching talking about it is well done. Now in regards to
needs to do these situations is do a better explanation of what what they're trying to do with the gun is. My example, I'm going to be using DMT. I did watch Cross put out a video yesterday talking about, and we were going to talk about that video and use it as a starting point. But with everything that's going on, it's still a starting point of Bungie has barely been communicating with us, and going back with the DMT nerf, it doesn't, the way you read it in that TWAB, in the patch notes, it doesn't work like that in game. It doesn't feel
DMT is a shell of its previous self.
Yes.
I even saw some people try to use it in trials this past weekend when me and Falcon were in there, and me and them looked at each other like, what are they doing? Do they not know? Do they not know what happened?
It doesn't work like it's supposed to.
There's so many better weapons now.
And they did admit they overbuffed 150 RPM scout rifles.
They did. They admitted that. I was like, okay, cool. Thank you.
I'm glad we're not all nuts.
Right. And it's like, I appreciate what Bungie did with this TWAB, but this is what they need to be doing every twab, where they, like, whether it's Tippy's job or DMG job or somebody, you need to be having communication on a weekly level. And
it doesn't have to be a big communication, but at least, like, be more specific with it. Generalizing communication doesn't help anybody.
Exactly.
And especially right now, where you're trying to build up that casual player base with your half-assed attempt at a new player experience, which everybody in the Destiny community, that content creators have talked about to death and still are talking about.
Yeah.
It feels like they're forgetting their hardcore players.
Well, and like I'll even play like that a little bit, where it's like, I think Bungie doesn't really know what to do in regards to it, because they want to be able to bring new players into the game, but at the same time, they don't know how to satiate their hardcore player base. Because, and we even saw today where you had Attack of the Casuals on Bungie with the Divinity stuff in the twab. We'll talk about the Divinity stuff briefly, and then we'll talk about the rest of the twab in a minute. But the main issue that happened with Divinity, that's why it's the thumbnail, is they announced that Divinity is going to be getting a half nerf, where the debuff that it gives is going down from 30% to 15%. And anybody who listens to the previous episode of the podcast, I even said, yo, keep the crit bubble, get rid of the debuff entirely. I was that critical about it, because if we're going to keep bitching about it, just get rid of the debuff. That way things like Tether and Tractor Cannon can thrive.
Honestly, this is a happy middle, because casuals can still at least hit their crits.
But here's the crazy part, Toll. I took pictures of different screenshots of literal casuals in the comments. One dude was like, why the fuck is Divinity being nerfed? Nobody had a problem with it. What the fuck are people complaining about? Why are you listening to the big streamers and the 1% of player base and not caring about your casual player base? And literally there was like 6 of them. There were 6 of them, and Bungie kept retweeting an argument, like a post they made, where they said this nerf to Divinity has been being discussed for months. This hasn't been an Assault to Greppo issue. It's just really poor timing, because and like regardless of how you look at it, Bungie caught them is caught like in a bad position, where a really top streamer, top player who's the 3-time world champion has messed up and said some shit out of pocket, and now Bungie's looking like they're giving in to the streamers, when in reality they're not giving in to the streamers. The streamers don't want in-air accuracy to be the way it is. The streamers don't want skill-based matchmaking. They have plenty of.
No one wants that.
I want skill-based matchmaking, but that's just me.
I want skill-based matchmaking.
Yeah, I want skill-based matchmaking.
I'm talking about in Control.
No, I want skill-based matchmaking everywhere, but like
I would say I wanted universal, but yeah.
this isn't the PvP episode.
We will come back to the Divinity thing. I want to cover. I want to talk about the ban wave. This needs to be.
Okay, so for those who don't know, it started last week. We even mentioned it on last week's episode, where Bungie started setting up a new way to detect people who are net limiting. Net limiting is a thing, the new lag switching kind of thing, where you control your network that way you can manipulate the game in certain ways. There's certain things where you can control it in PvP. There's certain ways where you can make it so you have unlimited orbs of power, or unlimited super damage on a boss, or unlimited anarchy ticks, things of that, or unlimited wither horde ticks, things of that nature to manipulate the game. And when it started to be really heavily noticed was when people were using it to try to beat World's First King's Fall. Ever since then, Bungie has been looking into a way to address that. So,
and they're not going to tell us what I will say is they're never going to tell us exactly how they're doing it.
No,
right.
Because what they gave us cheaters today, make stuff. Yeah,
exactly. We don't want the cheaters and cheat developers to understand what's going on.
And the way they presented it
in the twab
was really good.
Brief, but in a bunch of techno mumbo jumbo. But I can say that they are trying their damnedest.
Well, because here's what happened. Because the issue itself was, once they started to roll out this new ban system, you had like hundreds of people, including top Destiny players, like the guy who created D2 Gunsmith, like who was banned for this. And the issue with the system is there's some people who just have bad internet connections are being detected as if they are net limiting, and that's what happens, and it's happening to some people, hundreds of people, in fact. When granted, one thing Bungie did say is that while this issue happened to a good chunk of people, and they are working to correct that, and they apologize for it, this method did roll out and catch a lot of motherfuckers. So that's good.
Yeah. It was like within the limits of false positives. It's just unfortunate that it hit big streamers, and then they're so vocal about it.
I wanna what Sweatskill said today is you need to be 100% accurate with it, not 99.9, to roll this out. Because if you are wrong, this could have been so much worse than what it was. It could have been a few thousand players rather than a few hundred.
That's still like well within like.
Did I lag or did he lag?
I think Falcon lagged.
Okay.
Yeah, they told it. Falcon, are you there?
All right, we lost Falcon.
We lost Falcon.
So
you may have to leave and come back. But no, like I will give
a margin of error, but still.
But see, I get what Falcon's saying, because I would because my counter to what Sweat said is, I would rather Bungie take a swing at it, be honest and correct it, and re-input, because they even said, yo, there's some people that like aren't gonna get their appeal put through. There's those bad actors that are gonna come in and try to like mess with it. But in reality, that I would rather them admit they messed up, fix it, and which is what we're dealing with, rather than like just never pulling the trigger and having to like wait and wait while okay, Falcon's back.
Yeah.
I will say this: if you did get banned and you are not net limiting, go to the twab from this week.
Yeah, apply for the appeal. They'll go manually look at your stuff and appeal your ban.
There's a link. We can even put the link in the show notes.
Yeah, I'll do that too.
And you can click the link and you can go and you can apply for an unban. And the thing is, Bungie has to manually go through this.
Yeah, they're mainly going through hundreds of people because they know they messed up.
And I will really cool about that. Bungie for that. But at the same point, it's maybe next time announce that you're doing. I know you're trying to do the thing under the radar, but maybe announce you're trying out some new software. Not say it's a ban hammer. Not saying it's like a new anti-cheat, but saying it's new stuff for the game to help new servers or updated servers or something like that. Disguise it, and so you can say, "Hey, we had an issue with this. If you got improperly banned, apply to this link." Don't just put it out there without saying anything. I know you're trying to catch the cheaters red-handed.
I don't know. I think they made the right call. I legit I think it had an adverse effect. But I think for a first run, I think they did a good job. Like they're handling crowd control correctly.
After not handling stuff correctly.
Yeah, because for the past few weeks, it felt like Bungie was just off the grid. And I will say they had more than plenty of reasons to. Because look what happened today. This whole issue with Divinity sprouted back up. And there's so many individuals mad. Now, let's have an actual discussion about this Divinity thing real quick. Because because we talked about it previously on the show. We talked about it previously on the show where we are very much in the middle of the issue, where we understand that people have 9 to 5s. We have 9 to 5s. We know what the issue is. People have families. People have 9 to 5s. People have other responsibilities. They use Divinity as a tool to complete content. However, in regards to the big top streamers, they had, like I said it previously, Salted Grandpa had no right to come out of pocket like he did, right? Because of the fact that you are the tip top best of the best, sir, Men in Black, like uppity, like not uppity, but like up at the top of the rafters. You're asking for more of a challenge when Bungie hasn't even just released the next challenge for you. You had no reason to come out of pocket like that. And yes, Bungie has been working on this nerf for a while, and that's my response with it. Where it's like, any top player who's complaining about this, because there's a lot of like assholes who are like, "Oh, casual players just can't hit their shots. That's why they need Divinity." I'm like, bro, shut up.
And can't even hit my shots.
Right, and then there's people out here on the casual side who are like, Bungie doesn't care about casuals. Bungie doesn't care about their experience.
Look,
my counter to that
is can I
you
actually
realize
counter it,
Shadow.
I want to read specifically from the TWAB what they had said. This is my argument to all of that.
Go for it.
The most important issue is that Divinity is granting a 30% weakened, sucks the air out of the room for all weakened sources. With this in mind, we're looking at Divinity for a while and have tested a variety of... I saw it. Hang on. I jumped over the spot. That's my bad. The most important issue is it's granting a 30% weaken, sucks the air out of the room for all the weakened sources such as tether and tractor cannon. We don't want to power creep past Divinity to make them interesting.
Well, and that's not even what I was going to say, because that is a good point.
They're bringing it back in line with all the other weakened stats.
Yeah.
They're
Right.
just putting everything back where it should be. And I'm like, perfect. Great.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think that's last time we talked too. I think that was something we said, that Divinity just was such a standalone thing that it was like this outlier, and there weren't other things that could like match its debuff. So I think bringing it to the 15% is like a perfect middle ground, just like you said, Panda.
Right.
Like now debuffs can actually stack. Now weakening can actually stack. Like now building matters, and like you can actually use other things. You don't only just need to use div, because it's not like this outlier anymore.
Well, and my biggest thing that was my statement was, what did y'all motherfuckers do before Divinity? Like someone just
Tether, tractor cannon, and
right, and like melting point was
melting point. Because
Shadowkey came out 3 years ago. What did you do 3 years ago? Other shit. Other methods were used to do this thing, and you were still casual players doing Leviathan and Eater of Worlds, Spire of Stars. You had other things to do and other methods of killing things that wasn't Divinity. Granted, Divinity makes things really convenient for you, yes, but it isn't Bungie's job to constantly give you an easy way out. Still, because while I will admit Bungie does do a lot to like give casuals a way to play, that doesn't mean you don't have to play the game at all. That doesn't mean you don't have to build craft. That doesn't mean you don't have to put the work in. Granted, the other half of that argument is the dickhead like hardcore player will just be like, oh, you need to get good. No, you don't need to get good. You just need to do enough to actually be worth playing the game. Bungie isn't just going to hand you the freaking the gun. Bungie isn't going to hand you the touch of malice. You have to do the raid to get the touch of malice.
Right, you have to do
the raid, the content.
It's like the Legend of Acarius quest. Back in the, you had to do Leviathan to get Legend of Acarius. Same
thing with Whisper of the
Divinity.
Worm. With Divinity. Same thing with Divinity. Same thing with Whisper of the Worm. Same thing with Outbreak Perfected. You have to do the content to get the gun. Hawkmoon. So it's like, no, you're fine. I like you chiming in. It adds emphasis. So it's like, I'm very much in the middle ground of this, where like I understand where casuals are coming from, and I understand that hardcore players want to like be catered to and have their hardcore content. We need to meet in the middle and be like, yo, casual players put a little bit of work in, like freaking hardcore players get a little bit of what they want, and we just play the game.
Right.
And the community doesn't seem to understand that.
Right. It's a space where we're trying to help each other do content. We're not at each other's throat. Unless it's PvP, then you're at each other's throats.
Right.
But raids, no. We're here to help each other get content done. Yeah. We're here to help get each other the best guns in the game to do better content.
Right.
I mean, just today, shout out to Styx in the clan. He was asking about if I should get Duality, and I'm sitting here, yeah, you should. Duality still has a lot of good guns. Well, granted, that thing, Bungie. Come on. Bruh, Bungie. I'm going to go off here. You know for Eager Edge, but you can't fucking fix Duality. I mean, last night, Panda and I were doing a Duality because we still needed a fucking pinnacle. And, you know, when you finish the dungeon, you get the loading screen that pops you back into reality? Little,
We got stuck. It kept
Oh, you
doing
got
a
stuck.
weird green wave effect. We
Yeah,
couldn't
I've seen
leave
that.
the nightmare realm. We were stuck in the weird like loop, and we had to leave and go back to orbit. Thankfully, it gave us the loot, but like we were trapped in like this weird ass like green wave. It wouldn't pull us back to Eris, and it was so disorienting.
I was doing it with you clan members on Monday, and one of us died and got sent all the way back to spawn, like at the start of the dungeon, and we were in first encounter fighting.
Oh, weird.
If you're not in a certain part, bells don't trigger. But once you get into like the part where you're near the encounter and you're near other people, sometimes when that person's going through, the bell will kill you, and it doesn't make any sense.
And like, thankfully, Bungie finally said they're looking into fixing it, but it took them weeks, if not months, because it's been last season.
They've fixed so many of the issues already, where if you got too close to a bell, it killed you. Sometimes if you were in the air jumping while you were in a bell, it teleported you to some other spot.
Right.
Galron being glitchy, Keitel being glitchy, Bell Keepers being glitchy.
It's like the prioritization of certain things is
baffles me.
It's baffling. I will admit Bungie had a good headspace of this, but there needs to be consideration. And I'll bite with Toll on this a little bit. The questionnaire portion of today's TWAB, where it mentioned Zer's main ingredient because it was a question from the community, that is the first time in any TWAB for 3 seasons we've
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
For 3 seasons, since the Zer's main ingredient came out and fusion rifles got the overall buff they got, that we've heard any communication from Bungie other than we nerfed the damage fall off, when in reality you didn't nerf anything. And fusions have still been a dominant force. Granted, because of the pulse rifle nerf and the scout rifle nerf, they're not in the trials top 10 anymore, but they are still the secondary weapon used, to the point that I literally watched this past weekend when me and Falcon went into trials. Falcon got hit on their foot by a main ingredient and died, and we were like, what? That means half of the pellet spread of the gun missed, and yet somehow this gun was able to kill one person. And yet, in reality, if someone hits you with half of a spread of a shotgun or body shots you with a sniper rifle, it does not kill you. But
that's so out of bounds.
Bungie says they're not going to nerf under pressure on fusion rifles.
Which is stupid.
They're going after the specific gun.
No, but the thing about it is they need to go across all fusion rifles, and the under pressure needs to be looked at too, because every one of these fusion rifles, whether it's main ingredient, whether it's no composure, whether it's plug one, whether it's like Cartesian, whether it's even the freaking Last Wish fusion rifle, because I've seen people using that recently. Queen's Epitaph, what the fuck it's called? Like the Zealot's Reward, a gun that never saw use prior to this buff, is like supercharged one shot. And it's like, bro,
it's been good for
I understand you wanted to bring these guns back into the meta, but there are situations like where you should be able to like shoulder charge bash somebody across the map, or be able to use an ability or use your own gunfire to flinch them, and they're still able to keep holding down the trigger and still kill you while they're at like 1 health about to die. There's been so many times where I've caused damage to somebody, and because there's no really flinch for fusion rifles, because if you add a flinch that would cancel the charge, that would make them not usable.
No,
but
don't do that.
I wish they would, though, because that would like sort of add more of a skill to it. But at the same time, the only other way to fix it is to nerf the damage of every fusion rifle, or make it so they don't like have such great hit detection, because the ability for you to miss half of your shot and still one-shot somebody is absurd. So the lack of communication in regards to this, where a question being asked on a TWAB after months of no conversation about it, is a problem.
They did say precision frame fusion rifles as a subfamily outside of main ingredient are still very strong, and we're looking at them too. They did say that.
But it's like, this is the first time we've heard about this. When there's been videos made, there's been tweets made of people going, why is this one, not even the one gun, just every fusion rifle so dominant in the meta to where prior to the pulse rifle in the scout rifle buff, it was hand cannon fusion rifle instead of pulse rifle fusion rifle. And it's just, this is an appalling meta. Granted, it's actually worse than the shotgun meta was, where like the shotgun meta took a little bit of skill, except for things like Felwinter's, because Felwinter's range was out of control. But like in general, the fusion rifle meta is just absurd. And like we'll dive more into that when we do have our PvP episode. But it's just that right there bugs me, where it took them months to address this and nowhere until now. And they only said Zer's main ingredient, and then we're looking at the rest of them overall, the archetype. Like, that's all you're saying, and not even like in the no certainty of when anything will change. Huh?
All right, so I would like to go into the twab a little bit more and talk about.
Let's go.
All right, so they did say that when the full auto trigger system comes in, the full auto trigger mod is still going to be there.
Boo.
Which is a good idea. No, that's a good idea.
No, because the reason I will agree that it's a good idea, but here's my controversial take. You have to like prove to me that you have a disability. Like you have to document that shit with Bungie or something, which that sounds fucked up. But the reason
that's
why I
pretty
say
fucked up.
Like the reason why I say that, or at least there needs to be a better way to monitor the usage of the full auto system, because you want to know why Peace of Mind is so high up on the trials report right now?
It's an auto rifle.
It's because of the full auto, not even because it's a high RPM, because it's the same RPM as Darkest before. It's because people like the way it shoots, and they strap a full auto mod to it. Because
I'm guilty.
Yeah, see? So it's like, that's why Peace of Mind is such a threat. That you can't, and sometimes you can't tell if it has full auto or not unless you look at it. Because I don't like using full auto on Peace of Mind. I like shooting it the way it is, and I'll still outgun some people. But there's sometimes where you just can't even move before you're shot out of the air by a full auto because someone's just like dragging their cursor across the screen while they're holding the trigger. There's no skill involved with that. So now, granted, what I will say is what Bungie said, once the full auto system rolls out next season, they're going to be swapping the perks on certain exotics, i.e. Traveler's Chosen is going to get surplus.
Oh, surplus, that's right.
No Time to Explain is going to get Feeding Frenzy, and Vigilance Wing is going to get Ensemble, which I'm a little mad about that Ensemble, Bungie.
Fits perfectly with it.
I'm a little mad about that.
I think it fits it thematically, as it's a trials weapon, and you're supposed to be working together in trials.
See, but I would rather I'd rather it be the first pulse rifle to have firing line, because I feel like firing line would have more benefit to it.
Maybe Headseeker.
Maybe. I think firing line on it, like when you're team shooting, you get a giant buff. It would have made Vigilance a beast. It would have made it a beast. So,
now,
but like, yeah.
The next thing they said is, we're looking at kinetic damage type as opposed to a slot. Changes sometime post Lightfall to make it more interesting aspect of how weapons feel. That's a very broad statement.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what's coming, but they said they're looking at it, which means, who knows? Something's going to happen.
Now, I like the next thing they said. Speak on it.
So, for those of you, like the three of us here, that bitch and moan about adept weapons and adept raid weapon viability, they addressed it. They actually talked about it.
They actually said some shit.
Oh my god, they're actually talking about it. As it stands, crafted-based raid weapons are flat out better than adept raid weapons. We're not happy with this current state and have changes coming in Lightfall that give new Lightfall raid adept weapons access to enhanced perks.
It's almost as if you shouldn't have made raid weapons craftable, and now you got your foot in your mouth, and now you got.
Or they should have just made it drop with enhanced perks.
Or
we just shouldn't have made raid weapons craftable.
I like the solution of they're craftable, but they cannot craft with raid perks.
No. They shouldn't have made raid weapons craftable, because I will die on the hill that they have drastically shortened the hamster wheel of playing the raid. Because I will die on the hill that Master Vault of Glass still has motherfuckers in there trying to get their Fatebringer time loss. Still trying to get their Found Verdict time loss. There's a reason to chase that raid. Is there a reason to go into Master Vow unless you're trying to get the seal? No. Is there a reason to go into Master King's Fall unless you're chasing the seal? No. So it's like Master Vault of Glass is still the best Master Raid because there's still reason to go in there. I.e., those raid weapons aren't craftable. So
I'm trying to get to the time lost of the Scout Rifle, actually.
Oh yeah, that Scout Rifle is dirty. Vision of Confluence is dirty. It'll be great this season for anti-barrier.
They said this. No, this is not going to be a full freeform crafting. It's a little complex, so they're gonna talk about it more. They said, look out for it in the coming months, closer to Lightfall's release. So we'll probably hear something about it between January, the beginning of January, and end of February, mid-February. That'd be my timeline of when we're going to hear about that specifically, because I think December is going to be more prepping for Strand and other stuff.
Right.
And as we get closer, they're going to start revealing more of the big stuff.
Now, there was a bunch of small things in the next couple lightning round questions where there was things like, does stability perks like rapid hit affect perfect draw on bows? Yes. Does freaking outbreak have persistence? No. It's just the recoil and the way the gun shoots.
The cold denial that Xur sold a few weeks, does that actually have an
accuracy masterwork? No, it doesn't do anything.
The other one I want to talk about.
What
does Outbreak Perfective truly have persistence?
I just said that.
Oh,
bro,
that's called me not paying attention. The next one I want to talk about.
The one that I kind of like is that they're like, why does only a subset of the exotic weapons tie into subclass 3.0? Which I thought this was a great question, because if you look at what happened with subclass 3.0, collective obligation works with Void 3.0, and that's it. There's no other Void weapons that work with Void 3.0. There's things like Jotun and a couple other things that work with Incandescent and Void and Solar 3.0.
Hibernator's Oath isn't incandescent, but it still
works with it. But then there's things like Sunshot where it does not have Scorch. It's just the way Sunshot works. So there's certain guns that don't work with the subclass 3.0. And there's not a single gun this season. There's not a single exotic this season like Cold Heart or Thunderlord or Symmetry or anything like that.
That actually does.
What?
Risk Runner.
Technically, Risk Runner doesn't work with, it doesn't work with the subclass. Yeah. So it's like it's the same thing as Dune Marchers. It doesn't actually work with the subclass. So it's like the same thing applies where they didn't really do enough synergy with the exotics, but Solar 3.0 was their first little testing ground for that, and they said, will we mess with that a little bit in the future? Possibly in season 20 and 21. But it's not really a priority right this second.
Having multiple perks in each column for crafted weapons. They're looking into it for the future, but it's a more complicated task than it appears at first glance. Nothing in the immediate future, but we will continue to look deeper into this. So this goes back to
craft two guns.
It's a coding issue right now that they're trying to. It's why they spent so long working on the Eager Edge problem is.
I mean that's what it comes down to.
It's a coding issue. It's a lot of.
That's probably why the duality things haven't been fixed yet, honestly, because there's probably code that just breaks down the entire dungeon that they can't get to right now.
That's a good point, actually.
They explained how the ritual reset ranks actually work.
That's a hell of a lot of math that we do not need to talk about this podcast.
They gave it in layman's terms. It was like 1, 2, 3, 4. You just need to reset 4 times for max perks, and then everything after that is a
extra.
bonus.
Yeah. They did announce that they are bumping the amount of exotic weapons they're reworking next season from 20 to 26, meaning that they, like, other than Lord of Wolves and Legend of Acreus, there's 24 other guns they are going to be reworking and retuning, which is really cool. Prayers in the air for fucking Queenbreaker, god damn it.
My arms are in the air for a
Put them hands down. I know what you're gonna say. I know what you're gonna.
What am I gonna say?
You're gonna say Darcy.
No.
What are you gonna say?
Look, I would say I'm not the only one who's saying make Darcy a special weapon. Just make it a special weapon. I'm saying
make Darcy special.
Borealis needs a buff.
Yeah, you make Darcy a special. Make Lawrence a heavy. Oh my god.
Honestly, that would fix it. But
I'm just saying, rebuff Whisper back to where it was. That way, Whisper and Izanagi's can be the top dogs for DPS.
Please buff Borealis.
Please make Whisper the Worm a special weapon. That's all I'm gonna say.
I like that as a heavy.
No. Because here's my reasoning. Here's my reasoning. If Izanagi's Burden, since Season of the Forge is always the fallback tool for Day 1 Raiders, no matter what the meta's going on, why can't Whisper be the same top dog as Izanagi? Why can't the reload be the way to be powerful enough to stack up against Izanagi's? Because right now, unless you have Izanagi's, you're not looking too hot in terms of the sniper department for endgame PvE. But if you have, if they made Whisper a special, or if they just rebuffed Whisper and gave it a chance back as being a DPS weapon, it would really be worth people's time again. Because I missed using Whisper as a DPS weapon. I missed that motherfucker. So it'd be nice to actually see Whisper do something. And you have to buff it extensively, but put it in the same category as Izanagi's. Put it and make it something that you want to take off a rocket launcher for. You want to take off Galahorn for. Something that is worth your time. You made a whole motherfucking damn near a dungeon for it. You made a whole it was the first ever technically a dungeon, and we have never seen it ever again in D2. And you treat that thing like it's it's the back, Harry in the cupboard where you don't want to talk to it anymore. That's pretty much how you treat that gun, and it's sad.
Now, they did clarify what Zen Moment actually does.
Oh, God.
Each hit grants a stat up to 5 maximum that lowers the recoil. Reloading or not hitting for 1 second clears all stacks. As for what it does, maximum stacks massively reduces recoil. So it basically lowers your recoil the more you hit shots.
Yeah.
Wait, I thought that was the basic understanding of Zen Moment.
Apparently, people didn't understand what Zen Moment was, so they had to literally clarify what Zen Moment was.
Oh, I thought we knew that's what it was. Oh, I did not know that.
They had to come out and explain what it did because people didn't understand what the heck it did.
I would like to talk. We probably talked about this a few, one of the earlier episodes before King's Fall of what the raid weapon would be.
Yes.
And, they brought back Wrath because Outbreak is in. They clarified. For raids, we always reprise an exotic weapon associated with the raid when we bring that into Destiny 2. We'll select 6 of the most popular legendary weapons and reprise those as well. One other thing, and this hasn't come up yet, but in the event that a raid didn't have an exotic weapon, or that exotic has already come back, or there are fewer than 5 legendaries, we get to make new weapons to match the raid. So, next year, when Wrath of the Machine comes back, we're getting a brand new exotic.
Wait,
Sevo rocket launcher.
That would be pretty cool.
Sevo rocket launcher.
Why do you think they made so many clarifications about that? Because there's only 2 D1 vanilla raids left.
Well, because I bet you $100 that they're gonna make Crota's End a freaking dungeon, and they're gonna make Wrath of the Machine come back out with a bang. And
but
also,
what raids only had 5 weapons? Like the Leviathan. Okay, that's what I thought. Okay.
So they're mentioning also Leviathan didn't have a big exotic in it to give.
Well, that Legend of Arceus.
But that's on the kiosk now. So if they ever reprise it, they need to give us a ball level weapon to throw in that
that's
or
true.
they give us more legendaries to chase in there.
This was still a big question we have had for a while now, and I'm glad they answered that, because now that clears any doubt in our minds for the next year.
See the machine gun. See the rocket
Hey.
launcher.
All right. So what's the other one I want?
It's gonna be a fusion rifle.
No, man. I need a SIVA machine gun or a SIVA rocket launcher.
Oh, going back to slug shotguns for a bit, they were asked, in your opinion, would you use accuracy perks, example firmly planted, on slug shotguns?
No.
By my testing, they would seem to be very accurate by default.
And they even said no. They're like, no.
Yeah.
So likely, it's only worth using accuracy perks if you only plan on using them while airborne or in other situations that reduce accuracy.
Now,
pop on Icarus grip and rock that opening shot.
Yeah. Now, what I thought was really cool was after they asked them a couple questions about like their favorite combinations, their favorite exotics and whatnot, they had a whole section of things that are coming in the mid-season patch that I'm really excited about. So, also for the sake of Jade Rabbit Emperor, they did admit that they are working on fixing the exotic perk. So Jade Rabbit Emperor will be happy about that. But that's the only reason why I reference that.
I forgot to mention that. I got to scroll. That's
all I'm saying. That's all we're referencing about it. Is that they're fixing the perk. It's supposed to make it so when you hit body shot or when you hit enough headshots, it makes it so you can get crit damage from a body shot.
And you can hoard them too. You can stack them.
Yeah, you can stack up the body shot. That would be a crit, so you can kill someone with 3 body shots. That's all I'm gonna say about that. It's not worth reading the whole thing verbatim. In terms of the future balance changes that are coming in the mid-season patch, we're getting a bump to auto rifles and trace rifles in PvP. We're getting, or just in general, in PvP and PvE, we're getting a small buff to crit damage for adaptive pulse rifles and precision auto rifles. We're getting a reduced damage or reduced effective range of pulse rifles because we're kind of mapping motherfuckers right now.
Yeah.
No time.
We're getting ease of use nerf. Not getting damage nerfs, they're getting ease of use nerfs. I really like. Because with no time being full auto and with Jade being so easy to pop people in the head, they needed a bit of a nerf there.
Panda is going to cry in the corner, but they're continuing their rework of Lord of Wolves, which I do like. That
it's so bad. I tried to take it into trials 2 weeks ago, and it's so bad. Like they really,
it's so good.
No, it's not. It's not. It's so bad.
Oh,
they ruined my baby. They ruined my baby.
It's still really good in my opinion.
And
it's just like that thing. Like always, once it gets nerfs, people stop using it. You just have to relearn to use it. It still is pretty good.
Well, and my biggest thing about that I want to just talk about too is Lord of Wolves. Like motherfuckers really gunned for Lord of Wolves to nerf that motherfucker that got even before Hunter started combining it with Omni, because I believe it happened the first week that Capture came into play, and people started just using Lord of Wolves again for the fuck of it because it was a close range map. It was an EDZ map. And people were using Lord of Wolves because it was a close range.
Okay.
And it had got a buff, it had got a nerf. It had got several nerfs. It was it was at 3 nerfs at that point. Nothing had changed about the gun. It was just sitting in people's vaults. They chose to pull it back out, and people were using it on Capture. And then people started to say, "I hate Lord of Wolves again." Why? Nothing changed about the gun. You just have to fight Lord of Wolves again, and you don't like it. You have to. But here's what made it worse was everybody gunned for Lord of Wolves to be nerfed, while Arbalist and Lorenz Driver are still a menace. But you're so worried about a close range gun when you can still get mapped by a linear fusion rifle. Why?
So they are coming with a small rocket launcher blast radius buff. That should be interesting.
You mean we're going to fix rocket launchers back to where they were because you didn't need to nerf Gallahorn and Gambit? Because Gambit has no reason to be a thing right now?
They're a glaive damage resistant nerf. I'm
interested.
Thank God.
Oh my God. Percentage they're doing it as.
So let me explain the reason why me and Falcon are saying thank God.
Well,
because Toll doesn't sweat in trials like we do.
Nope. I'm sorry.
It's like fighting 3 Guardians in one.
Because what's been going on right now with the glaive is if you build your glaive right with the right shield amount, is if you hit one person with a glaive shot and it procs the damage shield, you can quite literally tank an entire fire team if you hit the rest of your shots right. And that is ridiculous. And, the reason why people were calling for a damage resistance nerf is for that. But they're also concerned is they didn't know how to really approach it, because if you nerf it too much, the only thing that a glaive's going to be is a poke and a shoot stick. So it's like they had to figure out.
The pokey stick is just going to be a pokey stick. It's not going to be
right. So it's like they had to figure
hot
out
take.
A way
it should just be a pokey stick in PvP.
I mean,
it can stay the same in PvE.
I mean, I don't know why
honestly,
they put the shield is a nice shield and shooting is a nice idea. But what if they turned? I like the exotic glaives where. What if they didn't have a shield, but instead they had like a secondary fire? And the exotic was like the exotic ones are like the cool ones, and the basic glaives just do like a small little energy burst around you. Like you slam it in the ground and it just goes boom and push it.
That'd be pretty cool. That would be cool.
Damage and but it pushes people away.
Now one thing that I saw that I'm a little concerned by is Bungie says they're buffing sidearm aim assist fall off, and I'm like, bro, sidearms are already terrifying enough. How are you?
Yeah, what does that translate to?
That means all these like people who grinded allied demands for in fucking Iron Banner this past season. Those things are going to be mapping bitches now. Is what that means, because if you got rangefinder Iron Reach, it's going to map.
What about the forgiveness with that? How would that fare in that?
It would still, if you got a rangefinder on it, would still do good. But also they're working on sniper flinch, thankfully, because I am so sick of people being able to take multiple crit shots to the head but still able to snipe me.
Right.
Because Falcon heard me bitching so much this weekend about that shit.
Now, they are doing a small decrease to 150 scout rifle damage. The high impact.
Where are you at? I'm at freaking very small tweaks to SMGs. Where are you at?
The one right below that. I can't read. But I've been reading this whole time.
They're also working. They're also looking into zoom levels outside the parameters, because certain zooms are having issues.
God.
Yeah.
100 pounds is just a better auto rifle right now.
Honestly, yeah, it's a little eye control. Risk Runner is getting a PvP nerf, which I didn't even think Risk Runner was doing that hot shit in PvP, but like
I didn't either. Cool. I'd never see it.
Season 19, we have an additional list of changes we will be making, including removing some shotgun randomness. Thank God. Improved hit detection for glaives. Oh no. Actually, no, that's a good thing, because there's been a lot of times where I'm trying to use glaives and like it'll randomly after you do a combo, it'll just like stop functioning for a minute.
Yeah,
you're standing like a freaking like
and it's like my pokey stick's not poking.
Yeah, legit, you're just standing there like you're pressing the R1 and you're not doing anything.
Yeah.
Reworking and changing nearly 20 weapon perks and changing nearly over 20 exotic weapons.
It'll be a beefy twab when that comes.
It's gonna be a thick ass twab. We already talked about the under pressure thing. That's
That's what they should do more, though. They should make like, honestly, they should joke about things they see in community to even tell us that they're paying attention to it.
Right.
I like that they are reworking nearly 20 weapon perks next season.
Yeah, that'll be interesting.
Okay, so since we're towards the end of the TWAB in terms of like things that matter, because one of the questions, like, well, let's talk about skill-based matchmaking to piss people off. Why not? Because one of the questions is, will skill-based matchmaking be present in Control, have any effect on the way we handle weapon balancing? Here's the big thing which also I should have talked about this as well when it came to communication from Bungie. I want to talk about two things specifically: skill-based matchmaking, but first I want to talk about the Trials of Osiris flawless pool.
Yes, Panda and I had a discussion about this while we were running Duality.
Yes,
and coming from someone who doesn't play Trials a lot, and I try to play. I'm just not a good PvP player. Like in PvP situations, I'm not the best. I can go in and perform, but sometimes, But I still understood what the flawless pool was.
Right. There's a lot of people in the Destiny community that I've ran into in LFGs or different things like that on Sundays that don't understand what the flawless pool is. So you have a lot of hardcore players that don't understand what's going on with the flawless pool and just think it's a bad thing. Because for a lot of people, they see it as them being, and once you go flawless, you're being punished and going into a pool with a bunch of other sweaty players. That's not what's partially what Bungie is doing, but they're not punishing you for it. What Bungie is saying is, hey, once you go to the lighthouse, just be done. Like be done. If you want to keep playing, cool. But now you're gonna be in a pool of players, and this doesn't even activate until Sunday. You have Friday and Saturday to keep grinding, go flawless again, or help your friends go flawless or whatever. But in my opinion, it should activate the minute you go flawless. But that's not here or there. But in terms of how it works currently, come Sunday, flawless pool activates. Now, here's what people are forgetting and don't think about. Say I go flawless Saturday. So, and I don't go back to say and turn in my card. I keep my 7-win card. Sunday comes around. Me, Falcon, and Toll hop into a fire team. We all have 7-win cards. We go into a match. We lose. Cool. Don't reset your card.
Yeah, you still get rewards.
You go back in with that same team and you win a match. You have an opportunity for Ascended Shards, for Enhancement Prisms, for Enhancement Cores, and for another Adept Weapon. Yeah. You have an opportunity every time you get a win with a 7-win card, even if it's flawed after you've gone to the lighthouse, to get an Adept Weapon to drop. Meaning that if you, from Sunday to Monday, and I'm telling you, from Sunday until Tuesday at reset, you have that 2.5 days time period to grind as many adept weapons as you want to incentivize you to do that, while other people have an opportunity to go flawless. This isn't saying this isn't Bungie saying we want every casual to go flawless and to not mean anything. They're saying let other people have a chance to go flawless without your sweaty ass in the pool. Go grind some weapons and do what you want. That's what they said in the twab, but people didn't understand that, because I have so many times that I will load into it. I will put it in an LFG in the app, and people will load it, and either they haven't gone flawless because they don't understand what the hell I'm saying. Because I'll say adept weapon farming must have gone flawless. And there's some people who are like, what do you mean? Or you'll have people who will lose a match and then leave, and they'll reset their card, and you're like, what are you doing? Don't reset your card. No, we can still keep going. So
once you win 7 games, it doesn't matter. The card says you've won 7 games. You've done your time. It doesn't matter.
Keep going and grind as much shit as you want.
Get more adept weapons. I mean, that's how I got a few extra the first time I went flawless. That's how I got a few extra burden of guilts.
So it's like that's what Bungie was saying with the flawless pool, and people are acting like Bungie's trying to punish players by having the flawless pool. No, they're legitimately like, hey, congratulations. Now go grind more loot and leave these other motherfuckers alone. They're saying, hey, we can't put in skill-based matchmaking into trials. Otherwise, y'all would even have more complaints. So
there's not a big player population.
It would shorten the player population. They're saying, hey, we're going to incentivize you to give other people a chance. And the couple complaints that I've heard is like, oh, the flawless people hurts people from carrying. First of all, motherfucker, if you're carrying people for money, you're already a shit human to begin with. But if you're carrying people for like free raffles for your Twitch stream, that's not really cool either. No. The point of going flawless is to work your butt off in PvP and to have earned it. Granted,
now, don't get me wrong, it has crossed my mind to go pay, and then I looked into how much it cost. Like, I legitimately looked into it, and it was like $20-$25, and I was like, that's not worth it.
Hey,
if it was like $10, I'd be fine. But if I got to pay like $20, hell no.
But also, it's kind of shitty that they offer those kind of services anyway. It's like very much like you should be banned if you do that kind of crap, because it's the same thing as you paying for a recov. It's the same thing.
It's the same.
You're paying somebody else to now.
Most of the time, those people are cheating, low key.
Yeah. Now let me put an asterisk by that, because if I don't say people helping their friends go flawless, I come off like an asshole because I had a whole
helped me try to go flawless of numerous times.
Yeah, I even had someone I had a bunch of people on TikTok attacking me for saying people helping their friends is a bad thing. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying if you're being paid to carry somebody, or if you're doing a raffle to make your Twitch stream more popular, like you have no idea how many you'll scroll through the trials LFG and see free trials carries message or cheap trials carries message me or raffle carries join my Twitch stream yada yada. It's like, bro.
It is not cheap.
Bungie should ban you on site for putting that in the LFG. That should just be on site.
And there are people trying to do that, and people do that for raids as well. And I'm sitting here like, I'd rather just go in, slog for 6 hours with you and teach you the raid than you pay someone to carry you through. That's not fun.
Or like, there's paid carries for GMs. Like, bro, what?
GMs?
Yeah, I know.
Just so it's like that's like, not only did we want to communicate that whole thing specifically because Bungie didn't communicate it well, but also when it comes to skill-based matchmaking, let's have this legit conversation because because Bungie had like, I want to try to do this as like calmly as possible, because Bungie has even released the data and said, yo, skill-based matchmaking in Control for like everybody beside the top like 10% of players loves this. They're like, yo, we're having good matches. We're not getting freaking mercied every 5 minutes. We actually can have a positive KD because we're going up against people who play on our level. We're doing this. But then the people who are complaining are like the best of the best of the best because they're at like the top of the pool playing the same like 5, 6, 7, 20 people. And they're getting frustrated by that because they're stuck in that high echelon. And I will agree with something True Vanguard said, where he said skill-based matchmaking might be a little too much, but at the very least, there should be outlier protection. That way, someone who has like a 2.5 or a 3 KD shouldn't be going up against someone who's fresh out the grave. There shouldn't be people who have that high level of a skill gap ever. Unless you're in a fire team with other high-level players, there should be no reason that should be happening. And I think that's what Bungie's intention was with loose skill-based matchmaking. But right now, from what it appears to the sweatier player, it looks like they're getting shit on for being good at the game. And I want to sympathize, but at the same time, it's like Control actually feels manageable now. I'm not getting fucking deleted every 2 seconds. I'm actually having good gunfights with people, and I wanted to give Falcon's take on this specifically because we're both sweaty ass motherfuckers. But like,
I'm just sitting here like, hi, I play PvE. Yeah, I'll go into Control and do my 3 weekly matches and then dip out.
Oh my god.
No, I was gonna say I fall high enough. At least for my experience, the skill-based matching, the games I've played in Control don't seem that different than they do before. I still find that I get rocked or that I don't get rocked. I do notice that there are less matches where I feel like I'm fighting the entire team and capturing every point and carrying everybody to the win. But I think skill-based matchmaking is always a good answer for any PvP game. I think people should be playing people that they're closer to their skill levels. I think when high-level players say that they don't want to, I think at that point, if they're like content creators or streamers or stuff like that, they've like kind of misunderstood or unaligned themselves of kind of what they're doing as a player. So all for SBM, I'm all there for it.
Right, and it's like I will say like there's a thin line with it where it's like there's a lot of high skill players that just when they say they don't like SBMM, it's because they just want to pump stop. They want to boost their KDs. Which is another thing that happens in trials where you have people one-way resetting to boost their KDs. You should be banned for that too on site. I don't give a fuck what anyone says.
Yeah.
But like in general, if you're a high-level player that's just getting frustrated by having to play on that high level of an echelon, I'm not saying you should be punished for being that good. I'm saying, hey, you've gotten to there and you're gonna stay there. You're not gonna have like an easy ride where you're gonna have killed the whole lobby anymore. That should never be a thing. You shouldn't be able to be that sweaty and kill a whole lobby of people. You should have the same experience that the lower players are having, where they're like either barely negative or always positive KD, working their butts off to get a few kills here and there. So it's like it's a balancing act, but I think Bungie's doing the best they can right now when it comes to, especially because they only put it out in Control. So, and the one thing that True Vanguard said that kind of annoyed me, where he was like, if I'm loading into quick play Control to get my 3 like requirements for the pinnacle, I shouldn't have to sweat my dick off. And I'm like, well, if your KD is high enough where you're sweating your dick off, I'm sorry, I don't know what to tell you at that point.
I was gonna say at that point maybe that you were pub stomping so much, and now you've been put in an echelon with people and your ego's getting checked.
Yeah, that's a great way to look at it. So it's
just like, coming from my perspective, as someone who really doesn't play PvP a lot, like I'll go do my Iron Banner stuff. I'll go do that. I'll go play that because there are guns in there that I want to use in PvE.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Whizkin Rebuke. I finally got the role I wanted for that this past Iron Banner week. But I just want to go in, get my 3 matches done, and get out. So if SBMM is helping me do that, I'm all for it.
And I'd
rather not get pub-stomped every match than, like you said, Falcon, be the only one capping points. Because when I play objective game modes, I'm playing the objective.
Right.
Yeah. Yep. And then
Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, and then obviously there's the high end and there's the low end. There's that that area like if you run into a skill-based matchmaking system where you're on the lower end, you might run into frustrating games too, where you feel like you're playing with people that don't actually understand that it's like a control-based game, like a capture-based game. Like you run into that issue too.
This ain't Call of Duty.
This isn't Clash. We're not playing Clash. We're playing Control.
I know. I know.
that was always the thing with Iron Banner. We used to be a control mode where you would have so many people trying to just get kills.
That's why I hated Iron Banner as control.
Well, I loved it because there was opportunities where you'd have people constantly like capping the points as your team, but then have people just being sweaty and trying to get kills, and there are people climbing the point value by just getting kills while you're matching them by capping the points. And it was so interesting of a dynamic because they're in the sweats being stupid. And also the thing about it is the whole people like working so hard or hating SBMM, like that's why Iron Banner got the issue that it did, is because Bungie's trying to appeal to casuals, but in reality, Iron Banner didn't need to get nerfed that bad. Iron Banner did not need to see this whole removal of light level, because light level kind of controlled where you were in the setting. If you loaded into Iron Banner with a low light level, your ass was going to get whooped, and you needed to learn that. But at the same time, if you came back and having grinded your pinnacles and worked your butt off, then you can stand a chance. So it's like that's a whole other argument in itself. And I know we're kind of coming off like super like anti like hardcore player, but like we would love to have hardcore PvP sweats on the podcast to talk about that dynamic of like how do you feel about being in that high stress environment 24/7, because for the casual player, they're getting the opportunity to actually learn how to play the game now versus getting mercied every 5 minutes. And you're having to actually play on people your level. And I want to know how that feels. I wonder how how are you dealing with that structure? So at the very least, what I would love to see, if they were moving from control, put skill-based matchmaking into comp, into trials, and leave it out of control. That way it can be the casual mode that people want it to be. So that'd be my hot take. But
I would say my hot take is that the reason they took away power leveling system from Iron Banner is the new systems, hopefully they're going to roll out for PvP in the coming seasons and years, is that there's going to be like incentives to play PvP between Iron Banner events, because the only reason power leveling system worked for Iron Banner before is because it happened like every 2-3 weeks. It
Something
felt like
that,
it was. Yeah, and now it only happens twice a season. So like feasibly, like having a power system doesn't work. So like my hope is that they moved it to that in the anticipation that they're going to add something PvP wise into the mix to kind of give like what you're wanting, that like pinnacle PvP activity between the Iron Banner events, which is more just like a PvP celebration.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's pretty much where we wanted to lead that skill-based matchmaking discussion.
Now we get to go to Toll's favorite section of every podcast.
Oh dear.
User submitted questions.
Oh dear. Hit me.
All right. Our first so I was going through a bunch of them, and a few of them we like danced around the topic earlier, so I'm going to ignore them. But the first one I want to actually talk about, where is it? Is from Sixton Jones. What is y'all's take on Destiny being cross-platform and cross-save, but the content isn't in that?
So I'm gonna let Falcon go first, and I'll speak on it because I have a take on it because like this actually goes into something that was in the twab that I wanted to get to. So go ahead, Falcon.
I guess I'm confused.
So perfect example. What's going on with Stadia right now, where people have bought every expansion on one platform, but say they have to move now to Steam or to a different platform.
And buy it again.
Yeah, that kind of situation.
I do think Bungie should, however, move to a system. No, I think it's silly that I think it's like a money grab to have to rebuy it on every system. I think Bungie, it should be like a licensor membership when you buy your Bungie account that you can play it on anything. I don't think you should have to rebuy it on every system you jump around to.
I agree, because look at what happened. Look what happened recently. Actually, like recently, where you had not only did they give people a week of every expansion in Witch Queen for free. Look what happened to Xbox players when every expansion was on Game Pass.
Oh, it was an amazing experience.
Everybody was able to play Forsaken through Beyond Light via Game Pass. But then right before Witch Queen came out, they said, nope, they're all gone. You have to buy them. So everybody who grinded all that Last Wish content, grinded all that Shadowkeep content, yada, yada, you have no longer have access to it. You're back to the base game if you don't buy it now that it's off of Game Pass. If you have played that content to a significant amount, you should be able to have that shit unlocked. Like, that should just be facts. Because if you've gone into Last Wish or gone into Garden or gone into Deepstone, you have the ability to complete that seal. You have the ability to complete that content. It should not be removed from you just because you switch to a different platform, or if a situation like Game Pass happens where it's just not even viable anymore.
No, as Bungie's moving towards a free game system, they should honestly just move then towards like a monthly or yearly subscription. Straight up.
I agree.
Because honestly, they'd probably get more revenue that way anyways.
Yeah.
And now my also counter to that is what we've talked about previously, which is like a legacy key system of seasonal content. Because my biggest fear right now coming into season 19 and into Lightfall is look at all the content we might be losing when Lightfall comes out. We're losing a brand new sort of menagerie light with Catch Crash. We're gonna lose the Leviathan again. We're gonna lose the PsyOps missions, and we're gonna lose all of that. And it's gonna be gone.
Okay.
The
Real
same
talk,
that happened
though,
with Season of the Splicer.
How many PsyOp missions have you done this season?
This season, none. I will give you that. But I'm saying like Leviathan shit. I've gone back into Leviathan shit.
Leviathan should stay.
I have not gone back to the derelict Leviathan once.
I have because I needed the Umbral energy so I could make.
That's fair.
Shotgun.
But also think of it like this. Think of it like this. Look at something like Duality, where it's so tied to that seasonal content from a
I'll give you
perspective.
That one. Yeah.
If the derelict Leviathan and that seasonal content is gone, new players are going to have no context for that dungeon besides Bife.
While that is my favorite dungeon, that is one of my biggest.
It is the
issues.
only dungeon that's so well. Technically, Shattered Throne is pretty lore heavy too, but like,
well, Shattered Throne goes with Last Wish, and Last Wish is still in the game.
So it's like, I really feel as if we should go back to the Seasons of the Forge and make a key-based $10, $15, $20. You should be able to pay it to be able to access that content from the Legends tab. Especially if we're not sunsetting content anymore, it would make it so Bungie could reprise weapons, Bungie could reprise content, and Bungie could keep old hardcore players interested again by making master versions of those seasons and putting them into a mission structure, putting master versions of the forges, putting master versions of certain activities.
Forges were so much fun, though.
Like, there would be so much power. Or if they brought back the Splicer missions, bringing master versions of the Splicer missions back out, master versions of the Nightmare hunts from Season of the Hunt. Like, there's so much viability in that of just going, let's crank up the voltage, give hardcore players what they want, but also give content to newer players who have no context for what the fuck is going on. Just give them a key, like yo, you pay $20, you have the season pass from Season of the Dawn, you have the ability to go play that whole season on Mercury and do the time missions. You could do that whole ass fucking puzzle that Dado and Evaneth and every other motherfucker spent like 2 weeks on. You could go back and do the Niobe Lab stuff and Season of the Forge, all of that. You could go do all of that for $10, $20, $30 and have a blast. So that's my hot take in regards to that. Because here in a minute, when Lightfall comes out, all this seasonal content is going to be gone, and people are going to be confused again. Yeah.
All right. The next question we got is from Wika, and they're asking, will there ever be an option to change your appearance for Guardians so players don't have to delete and restart every single thing from scratch? And then their sub question to that is, do you think there will be more cosmetics, like cosmetic hairstyles and head styles, etc.?
Do I want that? Yes. Do I think Bungie will ever care? No.
No, yeah, I stand with that.
Like what I love for new customization options after all these years, yes. Like, but I really think Bungie could give a crap. Like, the most you get in terms of like development for those different classes or races anyway is Petra calling Awoken cousin, or different characters interacting with the Exos and the Awoken when you go to the tower. That's it. So like
I was gonna say, the one take though, I do understand though where it's coming from, because I do wish I could change the gender of my character. I don't like, I know for some people I don't like being it's like a personal thing, but being like misgendered in the video game can be upsetting sometimes. Especially if you've
I would like that.
Especially if you've transitioned. Like, I have my D1 character from 2013. Like, if you've like, it's been 9-10 years, like a lot of things can happen.
Right. And I mean, I've had the same black and white Exo since I was a kid, because I went from being Shadow Panda to Panda the Paladin. So I've had the same black and white Exo with pink eyes since D1. So like, I could give a crap, but like Falcon brings up a point. They have a point that like some people go through changes, some people find their true selves. So it'd be nice if Bungie could give them that option without having to remake all their shit. So yeah, I kind of get where that headspace is at. So what else you got?
One moment. From Seraph of the End, how would you make auto rifles more viable in endgame content?
Okay, this is actually something that I want to address, because there were people in the clan who wanted to take auto rifles into Glassway GM because of anti-barrier mods. I think if you are going to make auto rifles more viable in endgame content, you need the champion version of that mod, whether it be overload auto barrier or anti-barrier auto rifle, to cause more of the champion disruption faster. because of it being an auto rifle that has a higher RPM than a pulse rifle or a scout rifle or whatever. Like, if a scout rifle has explosive payload, it takes like 3 shots. If a hand cannon has explosive payload, for like when we had overload hand cannon for a while, it took 3 shots. For auto rifle, you're saying they're spraying an anti-barrier servitor for a hot minute. That's the biggest downfall for auto rifles, is that it takes so much damage output or so long, multiple clips of ammo to do anything. So I would very much, if you want auto rifles to be meta, that you need to make it so the champion mods respond faster to the auto rifle. But auto rifles just need kind of a buff in general, because like, there's not a single auto rifle that can do that is worth taking into endgame PvE right now.
No.
Like, I think Come to Pass is like the only auto rifle that is worth anybody's time right now. Solely because it has Genesis and adaptive munitions. Otherwise, like unless you have like a Shadow Price Adept from a couple seasons ago where it has like overflow and disruption break, there's no reason to take an auto rifle into endgame content right now.
Yeah. I miss Breakneck.
Yeah, Breakneck was pretty good. So what you got?
A lot of them are more just about the Divinity nerf. The one that sticks out.
Ask a question about the Divinity nerf, because like the thumbnail is Divinity. We can talk more about the buff from other people's perspective. So let's talk about it.
From Harold Duck Lawrence. Why was Divinity nerfed instead of it being made more accessible to people?
So here's my thing about that, because some people are saying let's remove the puzzles and just put it in the kiosk. I think if you went through the trouble of having someone carry you through, or you go with a bunch of people to figure out how to get Divinity, you've earned it, because those puzzles were made with the design philosophy for you to have earned that gun because of how powerful it was. That should stay. That, like, I love Garden, I love the mechanics, I love the puzzles. It is a right to have that gun, because it goes back to the conversations of casuals putting enough work in to not really have to really get good, but still play the game. Like, because fuck the get good argument. I hated it in Dark Souls, I hated it in Destiny, but you still have to play the game. You can't just not play the game. So same thing with like Xenophage in the Pit of Heresy. You have to do the puzzles. Even if you just follow Dato's video, you still have to do the puzzles, go into the dungeon, do the mechanics with the witch, and then you go back to Eris and get your gun. Like, there has to be some sort of puzzle, and that even goes back to how Whisper. I felt about like Whisper. Whisper should have stayed. Like you could got rid of the farm, but like if you walk up to Mithrax on the helm, you should be able to go back into Whisper and just like or something. Like, well, Mithrax wasn't Whisper, but Mithrax was Outbreak. But like, same concept. You should be able to access those old things. Like, you know how cool it would be, because there's that Easter egg in Vault of Glass where the Vex portal near the Gatekeeper encounter goes into Whisper, because there's a portal in Whisper that goes into the Vault of Glass. If you could go back into Whisper from Vault of Glass as like a little Easter egg and just dick around, people would love that. So
yes,
I think if they like the design philosophy of Divinity is, if you do the puzzles, you get the gun. And honestly, screw RNG based things like Collective Obligation and Eyes of Tomorrow. There should be cool puzzles to do to gain those. Like, do you know how cool it would have been to go deeper into the Deepstone Crypt and find puzzles to do to get a cool rocket launcher? That would have been off the chain. Like, that would have been so cool. And then, or like, even how they had the giant, massive binary puzzle for Bastion. Bastion, you just give to the kiosk now. If that puzzle wouldn't have been locked behind a seasonal content like I was talking about, and that was just in the game for you to go do whatever you want, that'd be such a cool way to get Bastion still. So like, there's certain things that Bungie has removed from the game that would emphasize the point of do the content, get the gun. Like Presage was do the mission, get the gun. Hawkmoon was do the mission, get the gun, and that makes sense.
I think the one thing they could change for Div, and if I do like the puzzle idea, but if they're gonna keep Div as the puzzle, since it's a quest anyways, I think if you finish the puzzles, it should be a progression thing, especially since guarding is a mechanic heavy raid towards the end. I think if you complete the puzzles could stay complete. Because if you don't get the completion, those puzzles are gone.
Yeah.
I do think that's something they could add for accessibility if it's going to stay that way.
Right. So that's kind of like where we stand with that, where it's like the puzzles need to still exist, but there needs to be the ability to guide, like I don't know, like I want to say the LFG thing needs to happen faster in game, but like they're doing their best, so I'll leave that one be.
Yeah.
Well, like give us another one, Toll.
So going off of the Divinity nerf, how do you think the div nerf will affect next season?
You're gonna see a lot more hunters being forced to do tether, like how warlocks are forced into well.
Or what's it called? Shatter. There's the weakening thing you can use on Shadow Shot. Oh, that's not even there anymore. Never mind.
Nope, it's just you shoot your
It's
shadow shot and you cause
now.
the damage.
Yep, that's
So
right.
You're gonna see a lot of hunters
a lot
getting
of that.
pigeonholed the same way warlocks are pigeonholed.
Yep.
Otherwise, like you're not gonna see a change. People are still gonna use div. Like
the damage
crit
is gonna be
too
the same.
viable. The crit bubble's too viable. So it's gonna be still something people do to get things done. Yeah. So like I will die on the hill that like if people were that worried about Divinity being a problem, they should have just gotten rid of the debuff entirely and made it just be one giant crit bubble. Yeah. Like that's all it should have been.
Yeah. I think I saw this one video. There's always going to be systems in place where you can one phase bosses with a single person getting supported by your team. Like I saw this one video where a Titan was just using 1-2 punch and a shoulder charge and tractor cannon, and they soloed Golgoroth alone while their team just popped the bubbles for them. Like
yeah.
So Div, nothing's going to change. It's all going to be the same. There's just going to be more debuffs in play now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Bungie is what I said earlier in the show is leveling the playing field of the weakening buffs, so that if you need the div to help you hit your shots, that's great because div gives you that constant 15%. But hey, you want to change it up? Go use tractor cannon. Go use tether. Go for it.
Go for it.
Right.
There are other options now.
And like I really need to emphasize this once again. Bungie did not do this because of Salta Greppo. Like they said they were looking into things prior to that. Now, and I will say it again. I even said previously, Salta Greppo, if you want to come on the show to talk about it, cool, great, come talk about it. Because right now you pretty much have persona, like you've taken the beating from the community and now you're acting like the villain of the Destiny universe, where you're like nerf this and nerf this and nerf this, and it's like, bro, you don't need to do all that. Like I understand you're hurt because you got attacked, but like that's not the way to go about it. So it's like he came out of pocket and said some shit that pissed a lot of people off. But did he have a point? And did Bungie admit he had a point that overall Divinity power creeped a lot of shit? Yes. So it's like they had to do something at some point. Otherwise, they're going to keep designing every raid around Divinity until we're all dead. And also, y'all did other shit before Divinity. You'll figure it out again. The meta always evolves. I will say it now, and I said it again. Ever since Forsaken, the only gun that has been a constant use for PvE DPS damage is Izanagi's Burden, because Izanagi's Burden hasn't got nerfed. They like where it's at. Other than that, the meta has always evolved, and the meta will. We're not using double slugs and anarchy anymore, are we?
No.
So like the meta is always going to evolve.
That's part of the reason Destiny's sandbox stays interesting, and that's why Bungie does seasonal artifacts and things like that. Even though I despise the power system, it changes it. Yeah, exactly.
I want to talk a little bit about that because they have said that it's come out that they've thinking about. Bungie's never said it themselves. It's come from other sources that they're thinking about changing it, and I would not be opposed to that because then it's just okay. Your gun stays at a certain power level. Your guns don't have power level anymore. Armor doesn't have power level anymore. You have to level yourself up during a season.
Yeah, there was one thing that Paul Tassi said where it was like every season you get a power level increase, but like not every season, but every expansion you get a power level increase of some sort. But during the season model, you just you do the work to unlock the content. You don't level up to such a high extent. You still just make everything you know how you can fix the grandmaster problem or the day or the master problem. Just start putting challenge mode on everything. Start putting.
Well, that's the thing. They have the answers. They just need to roll it out.
Literally,
they even said for grandmasters, it's $15.95 is the minimum to get in there. If you go any higher in the light level cap, it's not going to make the GM easier. You're bound by the challenge thing rules. Your shit's always going to be that like 20 levels higher than you.
Yeah.
So you're going to get your ass kicked regardless.
You could be
the point level 16 light level 1600 light level and still get your ass kicked to the GM.
Yeah, the point of the GM is to ego check your build. It's like you don't need to reach
your build.
You don't exactly. You don't need to be 1595 to find out that your build is bad. Like someone can go in there. I think Panda, you said at one time about how you talk about a lot how these things will get you if you're not ready. So let someone go in there.
Because I even told the clan this week.
I was contest mode.
Because I even told the clan this week because there were people who wants to go run a GM today? Who wants to go do this? We're gonna run 10 GMs. I'm gonna tell all y'all motherfuckers right now.
It's Glassway. This isn't
not only is it Glassway, it's a Grandmaster Nightfall.
Now I want to talk about one thing after this.
You're going to get your shit rocked. I watched, and I hate that I have to admit this. I had to watch the best warlock in our clan get bitch slapped by a minotaur yesterday because it was me and him left alive. That our hunter was dead in the GM, and I had popped my super to res the hunter, and I watched as the best warlock in our clan, All Might, get bitch slapped by a minotaur while he was trying to drop his well. This game does not care about what you want in a GM. It will rock. It doesn't matter if you have 100 resilience, 100 recovery, 100 intellect. Your build is on point. If you do some stupid shit, you're gonna get rocked. And our clan members didn't understand that. They thought, "Oh, Panda, you're tripping. We're gonna rock this. We're gonna do 10 of these, and we're gonna do great." And I'm like, "Yo, I'm not." I said the same thing when it came to Master Kingsfall on the podcast, where it's like, I'm not trying to gatekeep you. I'm not trying to say you shouldn't do this content. I'm saying you need to check your ego at the door, like Falcon said, and learn that you need to bolster your mindset, prepare your mindset. Otherwise, your ass is gonna get kicked. And people don't understand that.
And we can experience that without the power level gate. So,
what were you gonna say, Joel?
Bungie, why would you put double Nightfall rewards on the hardest GM of the year, of the season? Why?
To be fair, last season they put it on Inverted Spire, so they had to make it a little more challenging for us. Why'd y'all go so quiet?
Not because you were talking. I was just kind of.
Well, no, I just muted myself so I could crack my Diet Coke real quick. But y'all went real quiet. But no. So they really said if you want double rewards, you gotta work for it, motherfucker. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. So now, Lightblade, me and Falcon are gonna be depressed all next week trying to get fucking mind benders busting our ass in Lightblade.
I still need to run Glassway this week. I still haven't found the time to do it.
We can do it tomorrow or Saturday.
All right.
Because if I don't get too turned up tomorrow, I'll probably do some GMs tomorrow when I get done with my tattoo.
Nice.
So yeah, that'll be fun. All right, so this was a really good episode, folks. Don't forget that you can listen to this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, and Audible, YouTube, all those great places. iHeartRadio if you want to. I don't care. It's like everywhere. We are available everywhere. You can check us out on Twitter at Cosmodrome Radio. You can check out CosmodromeRadio.com if you need to figure out where you can be listened to at. You can rate us on Spotify. You can rate us on Apple Podcasts. If you want to support the show, definitely do that. Tweet at us. Tell us what you want to talk about. Well, like when you want to be heard on the show, like let us know because we love your interaction with this show, and it shows that you care. Shout out to our Spotify people because y'all are our highest platform listeners. So shout out to y'all. But we will catch you folks next week. Toll, what is your closing statement?
Oh, God, what do I want to say?
I don't know. Falcon, what's your
can you
closing
come back
statement?
to me?
Oh, geez.
I'll kill me, I swear.
Use Dead Messenger in PvP.
Oh, you monster.
You monster, Freezy Pop.
Well, since Toll's still thinking, I will say it again. Respect the developers because someone even had that. I want to read a comment from my TikTok today that I posted where I said we're going to talk about this stuff on the podcast, but like Bungie already was working on this nerf. Someone had the gall to comment on my shit. I'm gonna pull this up real quick. They said, where is it?
Is the receipts.
Right, here's the motherfucking receipt. He said, stop talking to us. When did Bungie ever start? Bungie's communication skills are very poor. And my counter to that is, do you see the Call of Duty devs communicating the way the Bungie devs do? Do you see the Halo devs or the Respawn devs or EA in general communicating the way that Bungie does? No, fuck you don't. So Bungie doesn't have to communicate anything to us. They don't even have to give us a twab. They don't have to go to other podcasts with Bungie. If you want to come back on Cosmodrome Radio, please do. But in general, they don't have to do anything. They choose to interact with the community because they care about this game. They care about who is involved in this game. We've had multiple people like Mercules from the Massive Breakdowns podcast go on to then be a Bungie devs in the sandbox. We have someone like Dirty Evan Hippie who started as a player in DMG, started as a player and then went and became community managers. These people care about this game just as much as we do. So why would you say anything that's so dumb? There's just some situations where they can't speak on things. Like they have to get approval. Like I remember Hippie said something recently on Twitter where she's like, yo, we can't tell y'all everything off cuff. We have to get approval to speak on certain things before we can speak on them, which makes sense. They're a large company now. They're not just an indie studio working under Halo. They're Bungie. They're like the company who makes Destiny. They have a bunch of funding from Sony now. Like even before that, they're doing the best they can. We're not gonna stroke them off constantly, but we're not going to defend them on everything. I will die on the hill that they ruined Lord of Wolves and DMT. I don't think every decision they make is great, but I will defend that you should not be sending death threats and attacking the developers. So I will die on that hill again of respect the devs, communicate correctly if you want change to occur for the better. Toll, what's your closing statement?
Honestly, I don't got one. If anything, I would say just have fun in raids, man. Raids are fun.
Yeah, raids are fun. Except for Toll, who can't count. Okay, we will catch you folks.
Hey,
we'll
I
catch you
can
folks
count.
Peace.
It's numbers. I'm a bit dyslexic with numbers.
We will catch you folks Starside.
It's called
Peace
dyscalculia.
Yes.